Yo, what up, guys? This is my post-game reaction to the Lakers versus Grizzlies. Lakers won 128 to 121. And first thing we can look at is through the stats right here. Lakers shot 11 from 32 from 3, 34.4%. As for the Grizzlies, they shot 14 from 42 from the field. And my first initial reactions from this game is that I think the Lakers, what we did way better this time around is to keep that intensity in the second half of the game. That has been something that I've noticed, especially during the December month. We did really bad in a lot of those games against the more athletic and younger teams, in the sense that, wow, we got to this big lead, or we're within the game, and then all of a sudden, the energy just keeps going down, because I don't know if the Lakers have a lack of focus or just a lack of initiative to go forward. And that's the biggest thing for me, is that another thing that really still concerns me from this game is that we had a lot of unforced turnovers from this game. Luka or LeBron will sometimes just have a lack of focus when driving through the basket or going to the rim, kicking out for an open three, and the passes, again, sometimes people just mishandled it, or there would be a guy relocating when they're driving to the basket for an open three, and it just, everything like that. And I think that's one of the things that we really have to improve on, because again, in the first half, it was a pretty close game. The Lakers did come out to, I think, a 13-point lead at one point in the second quarter. And, I would say that is a good lead to come out to, but then the biggest thing for the Grizzlies that I've noticed from this season is their bench unit. When Ja and the starters are not doing that good to start off, they come in and they push the pace. Again, as I said, Lakers against the younger, more athletic teams, when it comes to going out to leads, they don't tend to keep them. Because, as I said, the bench just came in, and if I can look at the stats of the Grizzlies bench, they outscored the Lakers bench by a lot. At one point, I think it was 66 to 18, especially from people like Jack Longdale and Santi Aldama. Again, I think that's another thing, is that we do kind of struggle against bigger, more opposing teams. John Morant didn't really have that much of a great game. It was kind of more just the bench of the Grizzlies just going out and running. And that's the one thing I can commend about the Grizzlies. But, it's just kind of crazy, the downfall of how the Grizzlies have come. Mind you, we played this team 3 years ago in the playoffs, and this team is nowhere near as talented as before. They got rid of Desmond Bane. I mean, Zach Edey's out, and then Ja with his off-the-court issues. It's been kind of a weird season for the Grizzlies, because I don't think the fans really have any expectations. They're sitting at, 10th or 11th? Let me check. And just for disclaimer, as I start getting used to these post-game reactions, I am going to start doing this on OBS. I still got to figure out my configuration. But yeah, Lakers, we still sit at 5th place. We're 2 games behind the Nuggets, and the Rockets are sitting at 3rd. But yeah, the Grizzlies are at 9th at the moment, just behind, just within the play-in spot. But yeah, for the Lakers today, Luka, he had a really slow start to the game. He didn't really get going until the second half, because again, a lot of unforced turnovers. And again, a lot of Lakers fans are thinking in this recent stretch, especially during December, after he came back from his daughter's birth, again, it's not an excuse, but I feel like he just hasn't been 100%. Especially when we played the Clippers and we got our butts blown off, by the way. That should have been a game we won. He just didn't look 100%. And, again, he's a really talented player, obviously. He's one of the best players in the NBA. He's leading the NBA in scoring, so who am I to complain? But, it is good that he was able to come back out with a little bit of a better performance. This wasn't vintage Luka. I know he scored 34 points, but the way he got those points, especially in the second half, I really like that he did start driving more to the basket and then force these open threes. LeBron, on the other hand, had 31 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. What I can at least admit with LeBron, there is some times where he does have these lackadaisical efforts on the defensive end, even as a LeBron fan, even though I am wearing a Luka jersey. That is the one thing that kind of like makes me realize is that, especially with the starting lineup we came out today, we came out with Jake LaRavia, who for me, honestly, was the X factor for this game. The thing about Jake LaRavia that I think a lot of Lakers fans were expecting when we signed him, especially as I've seen him in Sacramento and Memphis, because he did play for Memphis before. The one thing that kind of gets me is people thought he was going to be this lockdown defender, a Dylan Brooks type of guy. He's not going to be that type of guy. He ain't the point of attack type of defender where he's going to defend the ball handler 90% of the time or like the team's best player. He's a really good, solid team defender. He is a definition of 3-and-D. He hustles, and he could score. Like, he's not like, he doesn't have a bag in the sense he's going to like tween, dribble, cross, head to the rim. Like, he's a really simple, like, oh, I'm a hustle. I'm going to get these points somehow, whether it's that tip in from the, throwing it to the, what's it called? To the backboard, and alley-ooping it to himself, or getting a 3 from a dish off from LeBron. But especially Marcus Smart, another one, had 13 points today. Again, solid defense. That's something you always want to look for from the Lakers, and that is the biggest thing. Is we won this game, and I'm really trying to be optimistic. We had a better game, and this is something we can build on. But again, this is just the Memphis Grizzlies. As I said when we won against the Kings the other day, off screen, it's a Sacramento Kings. It's not exactly a team we can harp on, So for me, what will really impress me is when we go to Memphis on Sunday and we beat them again. Because personally for me, can I just say, I do not know if this big three of LeBron, Austin, and Luka is going to be the long-term solution for this team. Because especially in the fact on the defensive end, we have, no offense, like 3 traffic cones on defense. Look, when we started, Luka, Marcus Smart, LeBron, Jake LaRavia, and DeAndre Ayton, look what happened. More intensity at the defensive end. And, these guys are willing to clamp and, we play more as a team on defense, if that makes sense. There is still some lapses at times. Another thing that I didn't like is that as a team, we always seem to give up a lot of and ones. Jackson Hayes or like when Nick Smith with a couple of these and ones, for the most part, we really settled down in the second half and really got to what the Lakers were known for, scoring the ball, getting easy transition buckets. Again, I still feel like this team is a couple pieces away from really contending in the West. I don't know. At this current construction, I think when Rui and Austin come back, we're going to have some questions of, are they going to start all together as they should? Or, in my opinion, I think you put Rui on the bench and you either start Jerry Vanderbilt or you start Jake LaRavia, depending what you want. Because Jerry Vanderbilt has been playing better. He's finally gotten back to the rotation. I don't understand why JJ Redick got him out of the rotation in the first place. He's one of the best defenders on the team, and he's starting to hit the 3 finally. And the way DeAndre Ayton played today, we are so fortunate that we won this game, because the way DeAndre Ayton played, he was a ghost. Like, that's the biggest thing, is that is we came into the season, wondering, is he gonna, he was known on the other teams he played at, like Portland Trailblazers and the Phoenix Suns, about his motor, and this is one of the parts of his motor that you don't want to see, But look, we won at the end of the day. This is my first reaction, as you know, and I feel like this is all that really needs to be said for today's game. We're playing again on Sunday. At this point, let's just get this get this back-to-back W against the Memphis Grizzlies and build on something. And hopefully, Rob Pelinka, if you're seeing this, please, we need more athletic 3-and-D guys. We can't go to the rest of the season playing like this, playing on the edge every single game. But yeah, peace.